Hello, this is Karen for Picket Studios, and for today's video I have two cards using the new paper glaze. This product was released at Creativation and it's a smooth, creamy medium used to create texture and shine. There are 13 colors and here's a closer look of some of them. This is Peony Pink, Golden Rose, Succulent Green, Agapanthus Purple, and Cornflower Blue. And this is the fancy Flourish stencil that we'll be using on today's cards. Let's begin. For this first card, I'm using Peony Pink and Golden Rose colors, and I'm going to push the paper glaze through this fancy Flourish stencil. As you can see here, the smooth and creamy consistency of the paper glaze make it very easy to apply to the stencil. This paper glaze works best with thick cardstock, so I'm using a 140-pound watercolor panel. Also, I found out that using this size of spatula works better when you're applying different colors to different areas in one panel. Here you can see that I'm applying a generous amount of paper glaze to get a full coverage. And now I'm going to remove all the excess with my spatula, but I'm also using a stencil pad from deco foil to get an even surface. Also, I'm going to clean my spatula and stencil pad immediately using a baby wipe. Now I will start applying in all the blank spaces the golden rose color, because I love the look when you combine two or more colors. This way you create a third color and you will get like an ombre look for this particular card. I keep applying the paper glaze to fill in all the empty spaces, making sure I have a good coverage. Another tip is to mix glitter or embossing powder with the paper glaze on a separate container, and that way you can get a shiny look. I will show you how to in a different video. So now I will be mixing the Peony Pink and Golden Rose colors right on top of the stencil, or if you prefer, you can make this mix on a container just like I mentioned before and apply the mixing direct to the stencil. But if you do it just like me right on top of this stencil, then it's a fun game of playing with this new medium. And here's the final result. Very easy to make and it looks amazing. I will put now this panel aside to dry, and instead of cleaning my stencil right away, I will quickly apply water to a new watercolor panel and place my stencil on top as you can see here. Then I will add on top a sheet of paper and with the help of a brayer, transfer all the remaining paper glaze from the stencil. This way we will have a second card using the same supplies. Isn't that awesome? Now, I will help these two panels to dry faster using my heat tool, but don't overheat the paper glaze or it could get some bubbles. It takes like 15 minutes to dry, which is one of the things why this medium is so amazing. Next, using the Hello World die from Picket Studios, I die cut all the hello words and shadows that I need for these two cards and heat emboss them. So for this first hello die cut, I will apply Wow embossing pad on top. Then I will add Wow Metallic Silver Sparkle embossing powder and melt the embossing powder with the help of my heat tool. You can add a second layer of embossing powder if needed. And here you have a sparkly hello for the first card. Now for the second card, I will heat emboss the shadow die of the Hello World die using Wow Sandcastle embossing powder, and then heat emboss the die cut. I just love the shiny look for this die cut. Again, I will apply the embossing pad on top of the Hello die cut, and then add the Love is the Drug embossing powder from Wow. Finally, I heat emboss it and this is how it looks. I love how the hello contrasts with the shadow. I will apply glue at the back of the die cut and then place it on top of the shadow. As you can see here, my second hello die cut was glued on top of a vellum shadow because I want my background to be the focal point of the card. I will use the favorite notification and stamp set from Picket Fence Studios and stamp your kindness brightens my day using Wow embossing pad and pressing firmly into the cardstock using my Misty. Next, I apply Wow metallic silver embossing powder and then heat emboss the sentiment using my heat tool. My paper glaze backgrounds are now dry. I use my heat tool to speed the process and then I let them dry for about 15 minutes. You can see there's no glaze on my fingers and it has that beautiful pearlescent color. I will trim down the edges of both panels using my Tin Holtz trimmer. On the card where I transferred the remaining paper glaze from the stencil, I will apply warm lipstick Distress Oxide ink to one corner using a life-changing blender brush from Picket Fence Studios. Also, I will use the scattered straw Distress Oxide ink and apply this to my panel and blend it with the warm lipstick ink and create this beautiful and easy ombre look. Now I'm ready to stamp the sentiment on my background, and I'll be using the black hybrid ink by Picket Fence Studios. The sentiment that I'm using is I'm obsessed with your awesomeness. And here's how our sentiment looks. I want to introduce you the new stamp scrubber from Picket Fence Studios. And this is a durable cleaning tool for stamps and paper crafting tools. How I use it? I get it wet with soapy water, then squeeze the excess and scrub my inked stamps. Don't use it with solvent, harsh chemicals, alcohol, or hand sanitizers. Here I have my backgrounds and it's time to assemble each card. I will start with the first panel by putting glue at the back and then place it on top of a white card base. I will do the same for the second card, just like you see here. And now here comes the fun part by adding the sentiments to my backgrounds. I add glue to the Hello die cut that was heat embossed with metallic silver sparkles embossing powder by Wow and put it on top of my background. Then I add double-sided tape to the back of the sentiment, also heat embossed with metallic silver embossing powder and add it to my panel as well. On my last card, I also add glue to the back of my die cut and place it right above the sentiment. And now we have finished our two cards using the new paper glaze. You can also add sequins or any other embellishments on top of the background. These are more cards I made using the paper glaze. For example, this one was made with a different color of cardstock. On this one, you can see how it looks with embellishments. For this card, I used the new Fancy Sentiment stamp set also from Picket Fence Studios. And last, we have the two cards that I just created. Very easy, super fast to dry, and this medium looks really awesome on your cards. Plus, this stencil is absolutely beautiful. I really hope you try this new paper glaze. Just warning you, this is addictive once you try it. Thank you so much for watching this video and see you next time.